All right, so the reason I'm writing this is because this thing frustrates me. It's requesting a quote from an HVAC, a plumber, an electrician, a consulting company, or someone who has something that you need. They have services or a product that you need. And it's some consulting companies are notorious for taking longer than a week. They know how much they build, they've done it before, and it just takes them a long time to do it. So what I built using a VPS server, using an AI server, using AI technology, using Cloud Code, what I did was this. So if you know anything about Profit 21 and integrations, it's more complicated than it actually is. So what I did is I built a site and I built this little form that you come here, and this is live. This is my test company and test site, but it's live. So you fill your name, you fill your work email, and then you fill your company, and then you choose what you need. So as you might know, I have Ginger. She's my AI assistant. She runs on a VPS server. She's a Hermes agent, basically, and she uses memory called Obsidian, and she also uses OpenBrain. I'm going to pick P21 Consulting, and I am going to choose P21 Consulting because it's just easier to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I would like to build, or I would like to have a quote for integration that would integrate Profit 21 to my CRM package. I don't have a CRM package yet, but I don't know if I'm going to go to Salesforce or I'm going to use P21 or I'm just going to build my own CRM package or I'm going to use HubSpot or something. I don't really know what I want. I just want to know kind of what a ballpark of what this integration is going to cost me. So if you put that in a quote, if you request this from a software company, you get mishmash. You get nothing. But this is a valid use case. I just want to know how much the integration is. I mean, I know what CRM packages are out there. I just want to know what the integration is. So you're going to send it to this engineer. And then that's all there is initially what it takes. And then what's going to happen in the background is it's not magic. It's logistics and coding. So what I get, because I'm the owner, I'm the company owner, just like you would get this. You would get an inquiry. So the reason it says inquiry, and the reason is funny, because I got this sent from my AI assistant, Ginger, who is built to be Australian. So she has an Australian accent, Australian language. So if you look up inquiry, that's the legitimate way to spell inquiry in Australia. And so that's why it came up. So it came up and it said, I got this request. And if you run this line, it'll say this is a legitimate request, and it'll send it back to Ginger and say process this request. So I got the response from Ginger, my AI assistant, and she said it looks like a duplicate. It looks like it might be spam, and she was very nervous. I said, no. I know it's a duplicate. I'm doing a presentation. She'll make this look really, really nice. She said, oh, now that I know that it's a duplicate, I'm going to render it very well. And I'll write the package, and I'm writing it to make it really nice. So that's what a good AI assistant does. They learn from their they learn from their skill that they have, and they learn from events that build their skill. That's a totally different video. Okay, while this email is being built by Ginger, I want to show you basically what happened. So this is how a project request becomes a quote. So you request a project, you request a project from the web page right here. And then it goes to my server. My VPS is a server. and it saves it as a file within my server. And then what happens is Ginger, my automated agent, she sees it and she grabs it and she does a bunch of checking. She looks at my pricing dot markdown. So she looks at all these different markdown files, all these different skills that say, this is the pricing. If this happens, do this, and blah blah blah. This whole thing. Of course, this is just a test company, test site, test whatever. So, it doesn't have all the securities that a big company or, a larger company would. You'd have more securities, you'd have more pricing options and everything. And then it goes through the automatic checks, the H1 through H7. And you could have 20 or 30 checks, whatever. And then it goes through and it sends it to me. And then it could send it to, if it's everything passes, all the checks passes, it goes directly to the person who requested it. But if anything fails, then it just goes to me, and I look at it and say, okay, I understand, we have to check this or that, whatever. So and here's what each test does. So the documents go through a check, and if anything's held, then it gets stopped. Blah, blah, blah. Here's the 7 checks that I have. I mean, you could have 100 checks. You could have 5. Doesn't matter. So you have an implied hourly rate of this, or you access this markdown page, which says, if you're going to use business rules, only charge $50 an hour. If you're going to build a SSRS page, then charge $75 an hour. If you're going to do a business rule, then do 95, whatever it is. And then if it exceeds 50,000, do this. And so these are all the rules that are in place, which as a company, you should already know this. It should already be written down or in your head or something, but you should already know all this. That's why requesting a quote should not be as long as it is right now for most companies. So I just want to touch on real quick while Ginger's producing this quote. It says, a real engineer, not an autoresponder, will reply. So I have that here as an example, but I have Ginger set up where she automatically replies. So that's kind of a false statement. So you could set it up where it goes into your draft, you look at it, you make sure it's good, and then you hit send and send it. So I have this set where it just auto responds because this is for demonstration purposes. So, okay, normally you don't do this. I've been doing presentations since 2001 for Profit 21, user groups and whatever. Normally you don't do this, and I would say 5 out of 10 times that I do presentations, I say you're not supposed to do it, and I do it. And people who know me know that I do it all the time. But I do want to show you what Ginger was saying to me, because, like I said, I have her set up where she automatically sends the quote out. But she came back and she said, H1 failed, and I have a bunch of things now. And before I show you this, I want to tell you. So I gave Ginger a personality, and you could have Ginger. She's just your AI Hermes agent. She's your Hermes agent, and you could give her a personality. What I did is I gave her a Hermes agent where she swears to me. She swears at me, and she's very blunt, and she's very direct. She's very smart. She knows her stuff, and she knows pricing and how to do things, and she's very intelligent as far as she does, but she's very blunt. I just wanted to make that point. So if you look at it, she said nothing failed. She has a screenshot. Both were sent and filed, and here's the outcome. So you have this differentiator that says Salesforce was named as a candidate. And she said another example was if the CRM is unnamed. So she's confused on integrating with the CRM because it would matter to the pricing. So what she did is she held it using the H1 logic that was presented. But she says that's a money shot for your presentations. Oh, she's so sassy. Anyways, so she came back with all this information. She didn't move on the price, and she has all this information. So I wanted to show you that to show you this. So she sent me the estimate for my review. So it's in my draft, and I need to look at it, and it's being held for review, not to send to the client, because I have to go over what was done. So even though I had this rule that said send it to the customer automatically, it failed one of the stipulations and it got held. So I wanted to show you that part. So even though it got held, I wanted to show you the email and the scope of the project. So this is an integration between Profit 21 and a CRM package that we don't know. So it's saying the quote is saying that it's either going to be $9,500 or $1,900. And if you know anything about integration, that's not bad. That's not a bad estimate. It's very, very accurate. Is it the exact? No, it's not. But in the beginning, it's very obvious because it's written throughout this email. This is an estimate, not a quote. So if you have more, like you have multiple locations, or you have 4,000 salespeople, or actually it doesn't matter how many salespeople because it's all logic. And if you have different groupings, or you have territories or whatever, territories. How come I can't say that word? It's so weird. But it'll matter a little bit. But that's what I mean. Most of the time, this is exactly what it's going to be. So it's going to be 9,500 to 19,000. Or I had Ginger put in a monthly build. So what it did is it took, just like companies do, how much is it for the initial build, and then how much a month. So that's all in the pricing, which I'm not going to show you. But and the reason I'm not going to show you, not because it's confidential, it's because pricing per company is very, very specific. And if I show you that, you'll think, oh, I got to do the exact same thing. No, you do your own pricing. That's why every business is different. So with this, you have the business case. So the business case is, it's questions and answers that we already know. So this is what you want. You want a ballpark integrating P21 with the CRM. And you said plainly that you don't know which CRM it is. So the last part of the question, it's very intricate, and it matters a lot to the price. But what we can tell you is, if you buy HubSpot specifically, it's going to be the same shape. It's a HubSpot unit. If you use Profit 21 as your CRM, it's not integration at all, and it's something different. You build your own. So it knows, based on the information that I gave it, how to quote it. And this is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, we know how to, consulting companies, HVAC, plumbers, they know how to quote. It should not take them longer than a day to get back a quote for something that they do all the time. They know the pricing, they know what they do, they know what they're looking at. You need to come up with a number initially, and then you can start the conversation. Okay, you're saying $9,500. Why is it, maybe can we do it for less? No, we can't. And this is why. Because if you're going to go to Salesforce, the integration is this. Now you're starting a conversation. So what I did is I built a integration into a website. It has a lot of stuff in the background that does a lot of moving parts, but that company can start off with a number. They can take that number to their bosses and say, it's going to be $9,500 to $1,900 just for the integration. All right, now let's look at the CRM package. It's a conversation starter. So, anyways, I've been wanting to do this video for years, and I finally did it, and hopefully it makes sense. If it doesn't, I don't know what to tell you. If it does, good. Let's keep this conversation going. Thank you.